Hey guys, I was somebody was it was a little controversy this morning on Facebook post. There's a little forum called Car Audio Advice, and it's funny. I already am bumping heads with people. So the subject is batteries. So I'm a fan of cheap. I don't know. There's something about, like, even when I'm like cruising around here in this industrial complex, I'm looking for pallets. It's free. They're awesome. They're great. So there's a place near here, Mesa Drive and Broadway in Mesa, and I forget what the name. It's like Beehive. I think it's just Mormon guys, crusty Mormon guys. But it's called like B Battery or something like that, and they sell used batteries, and they load test it right in front of you, right before they're going to give it to you, and so it's good, even if it's for 6 months or a year, and it's like $40, $45. Even for a Group 31, it's only 65 without a core, which is fucking great, and I'm a big fan of those. So, and then the other outlet I have is Interstate. Sells used batteries because they have a client list where a lot of people have what's called UPS, uninterrupted power supplies, and other like fleet vehicles and things like that, where they're like, just change the batteries out every year or whatever, just to be safe. And so they always have a lot of used batteries that are good for a year or even two, and that's what I use in my own vehicles, and that's what I use to resell and all this kind of stuff. So, but somebody was asking about like, what's the difference between an AGM battery and a wet cell, one that has liquid in it. Basically it's called a flooded or a wet cell, and it just the electrolyte, which is usually a sulfuric acid, diluted with water, is a great electrolyte. And if you ever open up a battery, it's just a bunch of lead plates, and there's not really any dividers or anything like that in there. And then the electrolyte, which is the liquid, is what helps not conduct electricity, but make the exchange so that there's a charge. So, but anyways, somebody was complaining. They're like, "Oh, you got to have an AGM," and that's really old talk from dealers. So, and you're talking about dealers. So Lightning Audio was the first to introduce AGM batteries into the car audio and aftermarket community. And that's because of Scott Dealey and Larry were able to get contracts. I think it was for a year, maybe two, when they were first selling them to the public. And you got to remember, AGM is all it is it's called absorbed glass mat. And what that means is that there's fiberglass material inside to soak up that liquid. That's it. That's the only thing that makes an AGM an AGM, is that instead it's a wet cell, but they have the fiberglass mat, which is just the same fiberglass that's in your walls. They use for insulation. It's just thinner, and that holds all the electrolyte. Sometimes, depending on the application, the manufacturer may use some sort of thickener or gel or something like that. There's other types of batteries, but that's what an AGM is. That's it. That's the only difference. Now, some manufacturers, like say North Star, they like to brag. The other one is Odyssey. They like to brag about their batteries are better because they use virgin lead. Again, what are you paying for? That's what you really have to decide. And is it worth on your application? Typically, Odyssey and North Star. Odyssey is big on the high-end golf cart and some other industrial applications market. That's what if you want the best, if you want something that's going to last a really long time, and the only way to make a battery last a lot longer is to have thicker plates. That's it. That's all it is. And typically those batteries are much bigger. Sometimes you see Odyssey in larger UPS, uninterrupted power supply applications like microwave towers and critical equipment. A lot of times you see North Star in military applications, where again they need battery power all the time. And again, a lot of these guys get out of the military and they go, oh, I want the best, and so they get North Star, and it's an insanely expensive lead acid battery. That's what it is. So to remind you, okay, regular flooded cell is where, you wiggle it, and it's like, when you drink too much water at dinner. There's this place called Po Folks where instead of saying beverages on the menu, they would say belly washers, and you could it was the drinks. It was crazy. And then you drink out of a mason jar, and I was like, come pay to be a hillbilly. That's great. So AGM is just absorbed glass mat version of that. Now somebody asked, it's not a good idea to have a wet cell in your vehicle. Well, anytime you're charging a lead acid battery, you're going to have emissions of hydrogen, and hydrogen is flammable. Now, there are some car makers that don't give a shit, or they put quote unquote venting in that area so that the hydrogen can go off into the atmosphere. One of them is BMW, Mercedes, also put them in the trunk. There's a Chrysler on the 300, they put it in the trunk. And then Cadillac does a weirdo thing, and they put it under the back seat, which I think is weird as well. But okay, whatever. And sometimes the dealer will offer you an upgrade for AGM. Again, that's just to get your money. And there's no performance difference between a wet cell and AGM. Now, some people will argue, and then, they're like, well, that comes back down to the virgin lead. Does it outperform it? Yeah, if a computer is measuring it, but daily, nobody gives a shit, and especially if you're using it for car audio applications. Lead acid is by far the greatest value in what was the ratio? It's like kilowatt per hour per pound or something like that, or per kilo, depending on your math. And so, again, $40, $50 for an extra battery, and you hook it up just like a capacitor, except you got to put fuses on both ends of the wire, then you're good to go. And it doesn't solve your car audio problems, right? Sometimes it'll just keep your lights from dimming, but you always got to remember consumption, okay? How much electricity are you actually using? So if you got one of these, like, fucking smart 3Ks or something like that, and you got a little Honda Civic, you're gonna need a little bit more battery, only because of how much you're typically going to use it. So somebody that buys a 3K, smart 3K, and they're not going to hook it up to like Sony Explodes. You know what I mean? So they're going to hook it up to like a fucking Nightshade 15, and it's going to drink all of that 3,000 watts. And so the 3,000 watts has to come from somewhere. And so it's going to come from your tiny little Honda Civic fucking alternator. And that's going to have to trickle into your battery packs, and that's why for most people it's better just to go on to build your own lithium battery site. So I discovered through a couple of people on YouTube battery hookups. So, and I'll post the link in the description. I make zero money from it. I just want people to get good quality batteries for cheap. Now, lithium is a great solution for many reasons. Higher cycle count than lead acid or AGM, and also no emissions, no hydrogen emissions like you see with both AGM and both lead acid. Again, AGM is not special. In fact, what Johnson Controls does on the Optima is they put a little stone filter at the top where the hydrogen will emit, and then I think it's either uses a catalyst material or some sort of filter to neutralize it or even diffuse it. That's it. That's the only difference. AGM is not fucking special, and I'll make that the fucking title of this battery, or the title of this video. So, but the battery hookups has a really good deal, and they got the 100 amp BMSs back in. Basically, it's four battery packs that you wire in series to get right around 12 to 14 volts. And then it has a 100 amp BMS, and then each pack is rated for 100 amp hour. And so that's a genuine lithium, brand new, high quality cells. These are their cells, which is really just they get their heat shrink put on their cells. So, and I priced them out from China, from the same manufacturer, and they're they could make a lot more money if they wanted to. So, but they're not. They want to be the wholesaler, which is great for guys like you and I who want lithium and don't want to pay a lot. So it's only $260 right now, as far as the last time I checked. And you get 4 of the packs. You wire them in series, and then you add the BMS, so that way you make sure each pack is getting the correct voltage and all that kind of stuff. So BMS is a battery management system, and then if you want multiples, you can get multiple packs of those. So, and what's great about having the 4 packs is that you can the shape of the battery is flexible, right? And so what you do is basically you put those 4 battery packs into a case, and the case can be as fancy as you want it to be. You just make sure that there's no terminals touching anything like that. I was looking at Mr. Music Man Oscar Maldonado. He was he was showing off some battery boxes that he made, and the execution was not I would say is desirable or as good as it could be. So, but again, if you're putting it in a box that kind of hides everything, and you're basically doing the same thing that somebody like JY Power, who is a leader in a lot of these lithium projects, lithium batteries that you're getting. Now, JY Power has like an acrylic fucking case that looks tits McGee, and it really does look tits McGee. Is it worth whatever they want? Was it just $2,000 or $2,600? I don't think so. But that's me. So it depends on if you're using this for a show car or whatever like that. So most of my guys don't do show cars, and I don't like to support those guys because those guys are picky bitches. And then they, usually they don't have the money to support that kind of hobby anyway. The vast majority. There is a very select few guys that do have the money, and I don't like to deal with those guys either. So, but for the rest of us, poor bastards, cheap motherfuckers, whatever you want to call us, that's the way to go if you want lithium, and then you can build your own box. Now, if you're already a good cabinet maker like me, where I learned how to be a cabinet maker and a box maker first, that was one of my first skills that I learned for car audio, you can make a really nice wood veneer box, or like, it's MDF based, and then, you have a wood veneer on the outside, or even just use really thin birch and stain it whatever color you want. You can make a really, really nice box, and for show. Again, it depends on how much polish you want on your turd. And then what's great about having the 4 packs is that you can put them in, you can do them longwise, or you can do it as a square, or you can lay them down. It doesn't matter because they don't care if they're laying down or whatever. And then if you want to put like a digital voltmeter on them and all that kind of stuff, you could do that. So, but so that's basically the 3 solutions that are available for car audio. Anything outside of that, you start to get really kind of esoteric, where it's a very special application, like for aircraft or something like that. So, but I did want to mention. So the reason why I know about the contract for the AGM batteries is because I worked at Lightning Audio right during that time. And we which was the summer of '99, and we would get in these huge shipments, and then they would ship right out. A lot of lowrider guys in Japan, and Saudi Arabia. So, and we'd have to wrap these pallets up in black plastic, so they didn't grow legs and find their way off the pallet. But yeah, the AGM battery was developed. I gotta look it up to see who. Because for a while there was a patent on it, but they had developed it for the military because lead acid has been around for 100 years or more. And, actually, if you really go back, they were using it to plate silver in ancient Egypt. There you go, a little trivia for you. I'm killer at Trivial Pursuit too, by the way. Everybody wants me on their team because I know all kinds of random shit for no fucking reason. And I discovered that in like 9th grade when I smoked everybody, and it was like, wow, Patrick's smart. I'm like, no. Only in certain things am I smart. not in everything. I got an average IQ. It's like 110, and I'm a normal person. I just have a weird memory to memorize certain things. I don't know why. So anyways, lead acid is really cheap, and then they developed that for the military specifically General Dynamics as the contractor for the F-16 and also for the Humvees, where basically the battery should be able to take an explosion or a bullet. So, you know, sometimes a bullet will short it out and you can't do anything about that. But the biggest problem about taking a bullet to the battery, because, you know, even if you're driving a Humvee and you take a bullet to the battery, it kills the battery, but, you know, everything's fused. So what it does is it'll isolate the alternator, so the Humvee will still run. You just can't, you know, start it after you shut it off. But the biggest problem when they were getting with batteries was acid damage. So the battery would shatter or explode or whatever, get a bullet, and then it would leak all over equipment and cause all kinds of other collateral damage that, you know, one little bullet or even like a bomb fracture or whatever is a shard of metal or something like that would all of a sudden cause, you know, thousands and thousands of damage, or even just have to scrap the whole fucking Humvee, which was really expensive. So that's why they developed AGM for the military. And again, it's not special. It's not fancy. All it is, and there's lots of videos. I'll post videos on YouTube on how they make the AGM batteries. There's also a really good video on how they recycle batteries, on how it's made. And I love that program. I highly recommend you guys just watch it and just absorb all kinds of great information that helps you solve problems. And so I hope that you guys are solving problems. It is Thanksgiving Eve, and Sherry and I are going to spend it alone in the quiet with the dogs. It's going to be fucking great. I'm going to work on woofers and just have my phone probably turned off, and I'm not answering anybody. Now Friday I'll open up and everything like that at 12, and again, it's typically Black Friday is really quiet because everybody's beating down the doors at Walmart to get their fucking $300 65-inch TV. So, and I do not participate in that shit. It's a scam. You know, I do not like stupid people. I really don't like stupid people. And guess what? Guess who shows up to those things? Lots of stupid people. So, I recommend you just, you know, I started a habit back when I was 16. I didn't like to go to parties. I didn't like the bad situations that it would often put people in. And so I would stay home. And I remember for New Year's when I was 16, I stayed home and cleaned. And I did a thorough, if you're in the military, it's known as a GI party, where you just take everything out and clean every crevice. And it's very therapeutic. And it helped me start to manage my OCD when that was a problem before I got diagnosed. So with bipolar and some other stuff. So, somebody else was commenting about my bipolar. I actually came up with a really great scene to address bipolar, and probably the only known celebrity that I know is Pete Davis. Or is it Davidson? Pete Davidson. Anyways, he's sticking his dick in Kim Kardashian, and good for him. What's up, forklift? So Pete Davidson talks about his bipolar, and really, like, you're talking about like over 1 billion people live with it. So it's very, very common. And all it is just, you know, when you get excited or when you're untreated. When you get excited or mad, you just get a little more mad than most people. It is related to OCD and some other things, but a lot of that has to do with, if you're Scientologist, it has to do with your thetans. Just shit that you haven't dealt with. Like most of those people that suffer with it, there is some genetic predisposition, but a lot of it is just triggered by stress in life and bad childhoods, which sign me up. That's exactly where a lot of my scarring has come from. So, but it's again, there's nothing I could do about it. My family has all typically drank or done drugs, and that's how they've dealt with their end of it. I don't do any of that, and so I'm a good boy, and I take medicine I'm on a tiny dose, I think 0.5 milligram of risperidone, which is to help me sleep. Because one of the other things that aggravates bipolar is alcoholism, drug use, and lack of sleep. So you want to have a healthy brain, and exercise. Exercise is really good for you, not just for your body, but for your brain as well. It gets lots of oxygen to your brain. Jordan Peterson was talking about that, about a lot of times people just don't think because they don't have enough oxygen to their brain. So do breathing exercises, fucking go for a walk, do something, and then, practice just forgiving everyone. So always remember that you don't have to spend Thanksgiving with anybody. It's just a day. It's just a Thursday. It's just a weird day that we take off, and we say it's for pilgrims loving Indians, and everybody tries to be thankful. But if you go out to the Walmart right now, it is a mess. It is a nightmare. I don't recommend it. So anyways, I think the metal shop's about to open, and so I got to drop off some cool beverages that I picked up from Walmart right there, and give these guys some money. So I love you guys. Take care. And that's my video on batteries, and I guess bipolar. Bye.